doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, the paper's
But you can come and
small.
sit on this side and I'll sit on that side. How about that?
Well, as long as I don't have to look that way, I'm fine.
Oh, okay. So, Common Good Finance is a Massachusetts not-for-profit that has been working on a Common Good Bank and then the R credit system for a really long time. I'd say it was chartered in 2006. And our intention, which is the important thing, the intention that's imbued with enthusiasm is what changes everything. And so our intention is to create a society to benefit everyone. And there are two main things that need to happen in order to do that. The one thing has to do with money and reclaiming the power to issue money. And the other is the decision-making process, how we go about making decisions together. So we have come up with, Common Finance has come up with, a way to create an alternative banking system and a decision-making process that puts everybody in the center, each individual, and leads towards consensus. So the presentation today is all about money and democracy. Now, in order to have a common, in order to have a common experience that we can work around, I'm going to begin with a little video called The Essence of Money. And then I'm going to go through a slide presentation and talk about all the same things again. And then we'll have something to talk about, look at how relevant it is, see what ideas it gives us. And then, because we create money with an agreement rather than with a law, but the agreement is a contract, so it's backed up by law, we're going to go through the agreement that enables us to create money. So that's the plan for this afternoon. So here we go. Come here. It's a little bit washed out, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Is it loud enough? Everyone?
In medieval times, just like today, people had problems with money. In those days, gold and silver coins were the universally accepted form of money. Precious...
Let's, hi.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hi.
Couple more steps.
That was good.
Right up there.
I'm Harry. I'm Tad, but I'm right in the bar.
More evil. Well, come sit on the other side. Let's make a nice circle. Excellent.
Oh, hi. How are you, Bob?
Hello. Hello, Janet.
Okay, let me squish over.
Oh.
You want to come over? We gotta. Ow, ow.
Oh. Okay.
No, it's the noise thing. I'm a
Oh.
noise sensitive person.
Did you scream at
Yes.
Want me to
I
sit
didn't
across
put my
or
fingers
next
on the blackboard. Hi, Jesse.
So
Hello,
since,
thank you.
oh,
Another
excellent.
chair. I think we'll start again.
Yeah, we will. Let's start again. You get to hear it all again.
Who are you now?
So can we switch out a little bit?
Let me offer my shoulders.
I'll get my computer stuff out of your way too. And those two. And then I'll- Okay, yeah.
Do you want to sit here?
You know, I think it would be better if I sat across from John, because then I can catch your eye if there's something
I
you
know
need.
that you can kick me if
Oh.
you sit here.
Got a point there. And I'm gonna just grab
I hope the sun is not into your eyes.
I'll survive. So you all seem to know each other, but I don't. So I would love to hear everyone's name again, and especially all the people who just came, and a sentence or two, maybe a paragraph, about why you came this afternoon.
me.
He has a mouthful. How about over here?
Should we go this way?
I'm helpful too.
Okay.
Okay, so I've been working on this, I'll start. I'm John Root. William Spademan, who's the head honcho of Common Good Finance, calls me the senior policy analyst. And I've spent a lot of years working on an understanding of money that would allow us to really create something that would allow us to fund whatever we want. So I've been at this for a long time.
When did you start, John?
I've been interested in the question since high school, and in 2005, I was part of the 9/11 Truth Movement in the Berkshires, where I spent most of my life. And it dawned on me while I was there that the problem, while we were going over all the things about false flags and how the world really works and all that stuff, that the problem is in the money. And so, and in 1999, I read Bernard Lietaer's book, The Future of Money. You know, so I mean, I was already, really getting into the whole thing. But that was the moment when I recognized that it's really the source of the problem. So I started being a guest on our local radio station, and then I put together a seminar which was called Just Abundance. We can have a just abundance. And at the end of that seminar, we had decided that the only thing that we could really do was start a bank. And so we started talking about that, and somebody said, well, I heard on the radio a guy talking about the Common Good Bank. This is in 2009. And so I got in touch with William, and I've been working with him ever since. So he had also come to the same conclusion. We need democratic money. So that's my bag. I've spent my life creating community with people with disabilities. And I dropped out of college during the revolution because I couldn't see any sense in any of it. And I've been self-employed and, entrepreneurial all my life. I guess that's enough.
Well, I consider John one of my huge teachers in money. I met him, I think, in 2008 when Bob Fuhr was, I don't know when Bob Fuhr was running. I met him in a tavern, and he told me about how Ben Franklin was influenced by the Iroquois nation, and how they used wampum and how they distributed it for what they needed to do, and it made a big impression. Anyway, our paths generally have come together, and I've learned a great deal. He's helped me on my campaigns, and I also been connected with Common Bank. You guys know all this. So I'm really glad that we have a quorum here. Thank you, everyone.
I'm me. And what you may or may not know about me is that I majored in economics and religion, and I'm still interested in both.
Excellent.
Was that one major or two? Was that one major or two?
Tad Montgomery, I have also been involved in alternative economic issues for a long time. Co-founded the Valley Trade Connection, which preceded this group by a few years. Had a heyday down in the Pioneer Valley, 5 or 6 years. And,
Yeah, we're gonna redeem it all.
Hmm?
Planning to redeem it all.
You're going to redeem Tad?
No, all the money that got pooled and plugged up and didn't, end up working.
Yeah. Now involved pretty heavily with Brattleboro time trade
Good.
and permaculture economic.
Excellent.
I'm from Fidel. I first got involved with the Common Good Bank when Bill Spagan came to talk to Brattleboro. And I listened to what he said. I said, this man's speaking wisdom. And he had a solution to a lot of the problems. And so I became his representative in Brattleboro. Collected a whole bunch of names, but one of the things I don't think anybody really realized on a gut level was how much money it costs to start a bank. Cost maybe not the right word, but you have to have a lot of money to get into a bank. So it sort of went in other directions, and I went in other directions, and now it's coming full circle around and coming back. And I was interested in it from the beginning because I thought it was a good idea. I still think it's a good idea, so that's why I'm here.
Good.
I'm Bob Ozer. I also think it's a good idea, so that's why I'm here. I think the one piece that may relate to this is that at least 2 days a week, I volunteer with a kitchen in downtown Brattleboro here. And I guess our tagline is, so anybody wants a hot meal, that day, just walk in, we don't ask questions about economics or anything like that. Of course, we use money to buy the food. We're network partner with the Vermont Food Bank and all that stuff. But a lot of it is, people donate stuff. And, we're involved with the CSA in the last year with some folks who are raising lambs. So, part of the mix.
My name's Jesse. I read The Future of Money and I've known about common good, but I know Tom and I didn't know the connection. And I wanted to see the time trade build up to a very large scale. But I guess most of all, I'd like to see Brattleboro get progressive.
Say again, Jesse.
I'd like to see some radical energy not be threatening in this town and get squelched by the select board and such.
Yep.
I'd like to have that conversation, because I'm trying to learn how to not demonize the people that I don't like. And I wish, that they would do the same.
My name's Michael. I live in West Brattleboro. I get involved in some different community development stuff. Used to live in Franklin County, across the border. Was a member of the Franklin County Community Development Corporation board for a while, and was the sort of liaison to the Valley Trade Connection, Valley Dollars effort for a while, so I was familiar with that. I brought some Valley Dollars today.
Oh.
So if these can get redeemed by the end of the meeting, it'd be great.
Well, we need to talk, because we know we need to do that.
I was just kidding about that part, but yeah. I saw that, there makes progress and it sort of come to, it didn't stop making progress after a while, so it sort of petered out.
Yeah, we hope we've solved those problems. Walter?
I'm Walter Schwartz, and 6 or 7 years ago, I attended a series of Jackson was thinking of setting up a local currency in Brattleboro based on silver.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that, yeah.
And I'm Janet Schwartz, and I'm glad to hear, happy to be here and learn everything that everybody's talking about.
Okay, so I'm going to do my little introduction again. William Spademan and I, and Common Good Finance, which is the not-for-profit, Massachusetts not-for-profit that's developed, promotes, administers art credits. It's our intention to create a society to benefit everyone. In fact, the name of the company is actually the Society to Benefit Everyone, Inc. And we're doing business as Common Good Finance because so many marketing people have told us you can't go out there with that name. Oh well, I think we're going to change it back. Anyway, we have the intention of creating a sufficiently large group of people who understand money so that we can actually create an alternative banking system that we control. And because everything depends on our ability to make decisions together, we are also innovating democracy so that we can place everybody in the center of the circle and we can make decisions based on a consensus-building process. So we know that government is by the consent of the governed, so we develop a consent-based decision-making process with an alternative banking system and a decision-making process that really works, that really honors the individual and what's important to them. We believe we actually have what's necessary to create a society to benefit everyone. Now, everything depends come on, computer, wake up. Everything depends on an understanding of money. It's crucial. So, I'm going to play a video called The Essence of Money. Some of you will be familiar with it. And then I'm going to go through a little slideshow covering the same material slightly differently. And then we'll have something common to talk about. Then the next piece is that because money is an agreement, even if it's law, you know, legal tender, even if it's law, it's still an agreement. We can make an agreement, right, to honor each other's credit. So I'm going to go through the agreement that creates the basis for the new economic system. Not the economic system, the new financial system or the new banking system. And then we're going to finish with a elucidation and conversation about how to do decision-making so that it really works. At least the ideas that we're working with. So, here we go. If the computer would wake up. Let me just say, that is extremely important. Demand. We want stuff. The acquisitiveness that the normal economics talks about, but it's really demand. There is only demand. That's what holds us all together. And that's what money does for us. I just, you know, it's not necessarily immediately obvious how important that is.
In medieval times, just like today, people had problems with money. In those days, gold and silver coins were the universally accepted form of money. Precious metals were used as money because their scarcity made them valuable even in small quantities. Unfortunately, it also made them scarce. Two other qualities made precious metals useful as money. They didn't spoil, and they did not get consumed. So they were ideal for saving. Unfortunately, the same properties made them ideal for hoarding. Hoarding worsened the problem of scarcity. Those who had wealth beyond their needs could acquire the metal coins and hold on to them, thus depriving everyone else of the money they needed to enable the convenient trading of real goods and services. As a result, though the weekly market always offered a wealth of goods and services to be traded, there was often very little coin available to make trade work efficiently. So, what did medieval folks do to solve their coin shortage problem? They invented market money, and this is how they did it. Each seller had a pretty good idea of what his or her sales would be if sufficient coins were available. Thus, sellers had a basis upon which to issue credit to themselves. This self-issued credit could then be used as money to buy other sellers' wares. People could do this because the participants at the weekly market were both producers and consumers. They went to the market to trade their products, literally. But what happened when the butcher wanted to buy something from the seamstress, but the seamstress wanted something from the shoemaker, not the butcher, and so on? Trading goods and services for other goods and services required coordination of many trades. It often required several steps before a seller could acquire what he or she really wanted to buy. Bartering like this has always been a cumbersome process. That's why money was invented. And sometimes money has to be reinvented. So one day, during an economic slowdown caused by a serious shortage of precious metal coins, that happened. Anton the baker, whose bread was always in demand, could easily count up the people he knew would buy his bread if they had the money. Anton could reliably expect to sell at least 20 silver pennies worth of bread at each market. Therefore, he reasoned, he could safely issue 20 silver pennies worth of Anton's bread vouchers and persuade his fellow sellers to accept this virtual bread in trade for their actual wares. Anton was a good man, trusted by all, so he had little trouble spending his 20 pennies worth of bread vouchers on the wares of other merchants. Most were able to understand the elegance of his idea right away. So those who had traded their wares for Anton's vouchers were, in turn, successful in trading said vouchers for other sellers' goods and services. Because the bread voucher's value was expressed in silver pennies, everyone knew what the voucher was worth relative to everything else. And they knew that every voucher was backed by the abundant supply of Anton's delicious-smelling bread. So Anton's bread vouchers were soon recognized by all as reliable money, based solely on the proven demand for Anton's bread. Throughout the day, Anton's vouchers would be returned to him in exchange for bread. Each voucher had completed a unique journey through the market, some short and some long. And all along the way, the vouchers facilitated trades that had nothing to do with Anton. It wasn't long before other producers began writing vouchers against their products and services. Soon the market was flooded with money in the form of virtual goods and services, all of it backed by the abundance of actual goods and services available at the market. With no shortage of money, everyone had unrestricted opportunity to sell their products or special skills to whatever extent there was real demand for them. This led to general prosperity and happiness. The only purpose silver served in this system was to provide a widely understood measure of value, in the same way that inches and feet, pounds and ounces were necessary for measuring lengths and weights. Anton liked to explain to the amazed people from other markets No one has ever stopped from building a house due to a shortage of inches. And similarly, no one in this market has ever stopped from making a trade by a shortage of silver pennies. At the end of each market, outstanding vouchers were reconciled amongst the market merchants, with payments made in 3 ways: in product, in vouchers for the next market, or, as a final resort, in coin. This system was very successful. That's because it fulfilled the essential purpose of money. It guaranteed the existence of enough purchasing power to purchase all goods and services in demand.
So, create our own money. What do we want? What do we want for ourselves, our family and friends, our community, our state, our region, our nation, and the world? What do you all want? Why ask? 2 reasons. First, knowing what we want is the first step in getting what we want. And second, we at Credit to the People. Credit to the People is another group that I work with, and this is something I did for them. We at Credit to the People know how to issue the money for everything that we want. As preposterous as it may seem, we can create the money we need together. How? Well, on the basis of a very straightforward understanding of money. When we understand the nature of money, we will know that we as a community can have everything that we agree would be good. Our vision is that we can heal and transform the world together by creating the money we need to do it. Why can we create money? Well, money is an agreement in a community of people to use something such as shells or paper notes or a robust accounting system to represent the real goods and services we make available to each other so that they can be exchanged. Money is the primary tool of the sovereign. Politics is deciding together what we want and allocating resources represented by money. If the existing central bank fractional reserve system is not serving us, we need to make a new agreement to create money for what we want. Only when we do will we, the people, be the effective sovereign. Sovereignty? Well, sovereignty means being in charge of and responsible for the social and economic context and condition of our lives. If we are sovereign in our own life, we will be continually discovering all the things that influence the choices that we make, and we will take responsibility for those choices. When the people are the sovereign, we will assume that each of us is capable of and willing to be aware of who we are and what we really want to create. It needs editing. Satisfying, fulfilled lives. We will sit together, asking each other to articulate what we want. To the extent that we are sovereign, we will be able to agree what would benefit all of us. And we can then use the primary tool of the sovereign, which is money creation, to fund all the things that we agree would benefit everyone. This may seem a far-off ideal, but it is what the founders of the United States of America envisioned for us. It is what was intended by our Constitution. So we the people, what is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people? Is it not deciding together what we want with the power to fund it? So if we create the money together for what we want, the question is no longer where will we get the money for what we want. The question is just what do we want? Deciding what we want is the political question and the political challenge. Human nature is such that every freely entered into honest exchange using money benefits both parties to the exchange. I get what I want, the good or service, you get what you want, the money, and we are both better off. In the aggregate, we should all be increasingly better off. Money is not valuable in itself. It represents what is valuable. It is the stand-in or placeholder or half the barter for what is valuable. Money is an agreement to facilitate exchange, not something valuable in itself like gold or silver. This is crucial to understanding why we can create it. Money creation. When we create money, we will create the exact right amount to facilitate the trade of the existing goods and services in our community. We will issue the right amount of money and regulate the money supply, increase and decrease it, to keep the price level stable. No inflation and no deflation. Stable money is a matter of practical administration. So the science and art of money. Science of money. In order to keep the money supply properly representing the real goods and services in demand, we keep three variables in balance. The money stock, how much money is issued, the velocity, how fast the money circulates, and three, savings, hoarding, how much is just storing value, not facilitating trades. Stock, velocity, and savings. The volume of trades of goods and services in demand must not be limited by a lack of money, nor stimulated by too much money. For example, if the savings rate goes up and the velocity slows, right, the amount of money stock issued needs to be increased. But if the velocity increases, the same amount of money facilitates more trades, and the savings decrease, so must the amount of the money stock issued be decreased. The money must always properly represent the goods and services being exchanged. Regulating the money supply is a practical science. So the art of money. What is our potential to create new values, goods and services? This is the art of money. Deciding what to issue money for in order to create what we as a community decide we want. If we decide, for example, to make our community carbon negative, we agree that would create great value, we issue the money to do it. If we issue wisely and the value is realized, we've got solar panels on everybody's roof in Brattleboro, right? And the value is realized, then we need to issue more money to represent the ongoing value creation process. That's the rising standards of living. If we issue unwisely and the value is unrealized, then there is too much money in circulation and we need to shrink the money supply to keep the price level stable. What do we want? Well, we trust that you have taken all this in. But if not, there is plenty on the website that elucidates this. See the article From Debt-Based Banking to Mutual Credit. We do trust that you will agree that it is worthwhile to have the conversations about what we want and how we can fund what we want. Let's get started. So the website, Credit to the People, has everything, way beyond what Common Good Finance provides. This website has a wealth of information about money, all the different efforts at reforming the monetary system, sovereignty, and the methods we can use to govern ourselves peacefully and productively. We can indeed create a just and sustainable abundance when we decide what to issue money for. Anyway, so there's a website. Now, what I'd like to do is go around the circle and have everybody say something about the two things, the video and the slideshow, that created doubt or a sense of, you know, that's silly, or we'll never manage, or whatever it was, or that's wonderful and I totally get it, or whatever. So that when we go into the next part, we have a sense of where everybody's at and what to address. Emma?
Well, I'm still working on that velocity of exchange. When we put up, we know we want solar panels because we want to take away the carbon, put on everybody's house. And then we have to issue more money for the rising standard of living. I'm trying to, so
Okay.
do we issue it on the basis of the fact that we successfully reached our first goals?
The human nature aspect of exchange, that you only make the exchange. I mean, we all know what we did for the money that we have, whatever it was, inherited it, or worked really hard for it, right? So when you go into the store, and you know that anything you buy at the posted price is going to be profitable for the store, right? So they're going to profit from your buying. The judgment that you're making is that I'd rather have this thing that I'm buying than the money. In other words, the thing that I'm buying is more valuable than the money. That's human nature. And the whole reason that we don't experience that isn't just sort of totally obvious and part of our existence, is that it's being siphoned off all the time by the monetary system. It's being shoveled from us to them. And I can go into that in more detail. But the point is that those solar panels on the roof of everybody's house, that's saving them all the money that they were spending on electricity and all the rest of it, right, is now generating ongoing value, right? I mean, the sun keeps making more electricity for which we're not paying. We paid for it with capital up front, right? So we're all really better off. And the only way to capture that for society, not for the individual's experiencing it in the exchange, but the only way to capture it for society is to monetize it, to represent it by issuing the money to represent our all being better off. When I was in high school and early adulthood, there was this whole discussion going on about what are we going to do with our leisure time. Do you remember that? Some of you will remember that. I mean, it was a cover story in Time magazine, and you know, there was always an article about what are we going to do with all our leisure time. Where did it go? Well, it's got shuffled up to the elite. You know, 80 people have half the wealth of the entire world. Huh?
No, 1% has half the wealth, 80% has 5%. So that leaves the 19% for the rest of the 45%.
Okay.
But I think the newest
No, that is the Oxford.
It's way worse.
Anyway, yeah, I know, I agree.
I mean, it's just unbelievable, you know. I mean, if you had that kind of money, you could create this society, no problem. Anyway, so does that answer your question?
Well, I'm learning. I'm enjoying the journey.
There were pieces towards the end that I didn't quite get, and I can't tell you which pieces they were.
In the slideshow. Okay. The velocity thing, how you balance the money supply. You understand that, right?
Well,
We have an amount of money that's out there, right? But that money is circulating. Each unit of that money, each our credit or dollar or whatever, is facilitating more than just one trade because it's just circulating, right? How quickly it's circulating determines how many trades it's able to affect.
In our current
Right.
banking system, the M3,
They stopped reporting it.
Okay.
It just stopped. They don't tell us because the dollar is circulating about once a year.
oh, is that, okay.
It's so pathetic. Anyway, so but that has to do with all the money that the quantitative easing and the Fed parked on the balance sheets of the banks. So it doesn't represent what we actually experience. So you have the money stock, how much money is out there. You have the velocity of the circulation, how many trades are being facilitated, and how much of the money is just sitting there in a savings account, not circulating, right? I mean, this idea that that money is invested somewhere, that's hogwash. All the money that the bank creates it when they make a loan. They don't take that money. And all the money is twice lent. I mean, it's unbelievably complicated and problematic.
Well, one of the things that one of your slides from another era pointed out, if you go for a mortgage, all that is a debit and credit on the bank's ledgers.
Well, you provide everything of value.
People
The
have-
bank has bamboozled us all so that they get to create the money and then charge us interest. So the first thing you do when you get a mortgage or you get to borrow the money to buy a house is you buy the bank a house. Because if you look at the amortization schedule, all that interest is up front. So you buy the bank a house first. Then when you get around to paying for your house, you're paying for it with inflated dollars. The bank got the high value dollars at the beginning of the loan, and you get, well, it's nice from a certain point of view because, you're paying off the loan with the inflated dollars, but the bank got the valuable money up front.
And they also
So-
get the title.
Well, you get the title back when you finish paying the loan.
Yeah, but not-
And guess what? If you can't pay because they shrank the money supply through no fault of your own, there just isn't enough money for everybody to pay anymore, they get the house. I mean, that is just the most incredible scam. It boggles the mind that we could be so bamboozled. Anyway.
I'll pass.
Well, I still have to say, I don't totally understand how this works. I have to say, it seems like voodoo to me.
Yeah.
However, I do understand enough about how real money works to know it's bigger voodoo than this. And bamboozling is the right word. Money is not these green things in your pocket, although they're useful. But as you said, the money is created by the bank, by a debt. A debt, a credit. And it's voodoo.
It is big.
The measurement thing, the time.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, well, I was like focused in that medieval tale, and it's probably what Tom was alluding to, that Anton seems to be the bank, right? And he's creating the credit, but it is based
At first.
but it is based on goods and services.
Yes.
So, beyond that, I don't understand.
Well,
But I
eventually
got
everybody,
Anton.
eventually everybody issues money
Yeah, then the other people started.
in order to
But
represent what they.
Anton had to start it.
Yes, Anton had to start it, and that system lasted for a very short time in medieval times because the market then provided the money. You come into the market and they give you the money. I mean, they just hand it to you based on what you're bringing and what your expectation of what you're able to sell is. So, medieval times, in Bernard Lietaer's book, The Future of Money, you may remember this, there were a number of historians who figured out that the medieval people spent 14 weeks out of the year, 14 weeks out of the entire year providing for their material existence. And they spent all the rest of the time doing what?
Leisure.
Celebrating, building cathedrals, going on pilgrimages, going on crusades. Almost a third of the people were nobles and didn't quote-unquote work. About a third of the people were in monasteries, were religious. So, a third of the population supported everybody working somewhere around 14 weeks. Because why? There was no shortage of money. There was no artificial obstacle to us providing for each other. I want that to sink in.
What about that piece that's so helpful as a measurement, like how it is minutes to the hour, it's like
Right,
inches
so
to a That's what money is.
So I'll give you an example. We all have the experience of time being subjective. You know, there are days when time flies, and there are days when it just drags for forever. So imagine that there were, oh, one more thing. It's entirely arbitrary that we divided the day into 24 hours and the hours into 60 minutes and the minutes into 60 seconds. Somebody came up with that, and it gradually, through the Pope actually, it gradually sort of became the common unit of time. And that common unit of time is relatively useless unless you have a device, like your watch or the clock, that allows you to make use of the unit, right, that keeps time. The effort with the watch